It is amazing. Yeah, you're right. The first kick of the 2014 World Cup in Brazil will be a teenager who lost control or is paralyzed from the waist down, but this exoskeleton will allow him to make that first kick. I find that simply amazing. I find that fascinating.
Yeah. One of the questions that I have about this, though, is who is going to be able to have access to these systems, to the exoskeleton? Do we face a problem of justice here of people who will have access to these things and many who don't?
Well, we used to talk about the digital divide. We'll have the digital poor that don't have laptops, and the digital rich, which will have laptops. Now we know that children dominate the internet, and there is no digital divide because of Moore's law. Computer power becomes twice as cheap every year. So at first, you're right. The initial therapies, the initial computers will be very expensive. Only the rich will have access to them. But every year, price will go down to the point where kids will have access to this technology. Because who dominates the internet today? Children.
Children, and they play their games, and that's where the power starts, right? It's all starts with
so
power.
Similar to the first cars that were created. They were the 1%ers were driving those first horseless carriages, and then once we went to an assembly line, it was open and available to everyone. You feel like that could be the way that we go here?
Yes, and also the future of the internet will be BrainNet. That is sending emotions and sensations and feelings on the internet. Teenagers right now have little happy faces when they write
emoticons,
right? Yeah. However, in the future, teenagers are going to go crazy. The memory of their first kiss, the first date, the senior prom, right there on the internet. That's coming soon because we now can record memories. This has now been done, at least in animals. And in the future, we may have movies that are replaced by total immersion entertainment, feeling the emotions of the actors and actresses, the sensations, rather than hearing the voices and watching a two-dimensional screen.
Wow. Holy cow. This is tough to really comprehend, to kind of wrap your head around all of this.
This is big. This is really big. We're talking about revolutionizing politics, information, the relationship with computers. When you walk into a room in the future, you'll simply mentally control the lights, the temperature, turn on the computer, surf the web, type without ever touching a keyboard. And your children will ask you, how could you possibly live in a world where you had to touch the screen and had to actually type? What is typing?
Well, would
you
they
just think and it comes out.
Would they say that to you, or they think that? It would just be texted to your brain.
Right, they'll probably text it into my brain.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it almost is a form of telepathy then. It's almost like a digital telepathy, isn't it?
That's right, that's right.